So if you're living in doom and gloom and you are constantly thinking about how the world is going to end and all these natural disasters and the evilness of humanity, you are feeding into that frequency. You're amplifying it. You're making it stronger. You're making it manifest into reality. Hey guys, welcome back to the Divinely Human podcast. I'm so happy that you're here. I'm back from a mini hiatus. I won't call it a hiatus. I more just got overwhelmed with life things, I guess. But I've had multiple people asking me, like, if I'm still doing the podcast, where it is, what's going on. And I'm not going to lie, another reason why I was inspired to record today is because I have an angel reading later today with Rebecca, who was on my podcast last time. And I don't want to show up and they're like, girl, where you been at? Okay, where have you been? So that's a good motivator for me, because they initially told me they wanted me to do 2 of these a week, and I've not even been close to that. So I can't be fully letting them down because they're around all the time. They know everything. They see you when you're sleeping. They know when you're awake. You know what I mean? They're like the real Santa Claus. So yeah, here we are. In the meantime, I have been sending out like emails with spiritual information or like new knowledge that I've been learning and picking up. So if you want to be added to that, I think it's I try to make it like useful, practical things that you can like actually apply to your day. A lot about manifestation so far. I'm really into that right now. So if you want like tips like that, I will put a link below for you to be able to get on my email list. But we are back to recording. So today I wanted to talk about something that I feel is going to raise in importance greatly in the near future, because it is an election year. And in the US, if you're not in the US, election years can be super, super heated and very polarizing, which is not the business and kind of anti-spirituality, right? The entire planet, or all of like the third dimension, is about separation and polarity and duality, and having an election like pick this team or this team really feeds into that. So I wanted to talk about like collective energy and collective thoughts, collective emotions, and hopping timelines. And I know that sounds super cuckoo, but just stick with me. I am absorbing information constantly. When I'm interested in something, I will drink information from a fire hose. Like, I cannot get overwhelmed. I can't overdo it. I can't burn out. So since I've seen you, that's what I've been doing. And the idea of like switching timelines is super interesting to me. And I just want to kind of put that in your awareness if it isn't already, and how you have control in the matter, and how you can stop just being like a pawn on a game board. Okay. So let's talk about the crazy stuff first. Everything that could ever happen in your life, everything that could ever happen in this world at all, has happened, like has already happened. Time doesn't actually exist, right? Time is just here for us to make sense of 3D world. So literally every outcome imaginable for this planet has played out. And each of us are on one of those potential timelines. All of us here right now are on the same one, I guess, right? I guess I don't really fully understand how that works. It makes it a little more comprehensible when you've seen, like, I feel like a lot of the new superhero movies are weaving in the concept of like multiverse and like different timelines. My son is really obsessed with Spider-Man, so that's like the one that makes the most sense to me. So every outcome that you can think of will come to fruition. But It's your job to decide which outcome you want to be living in when it plays out. Okay? So it's important to know that you are not helpless. You have control. You get to decide where your consciousness is living, which timeline that you're existing in. It's not like by hoping and praying, but it's more about the trajectory of your learning path and the frequency that you're vibrating at. So say that each timeline is at a different frequency. You just need to match the frequency of the timeline that you want to be living in. And it's not about knowing the exact number, what's the exact number of hertz I need to be vibrating at to live out in this timeline. It isn't like that. But if you even have just a basic concept of the vibration of emotions, right? So like love, joy, hope, higher frequency than despair, grief, pity, stuff like that. So if you don't want to be living in that sort of a world, then don't vibrate at that sort of a vibe. You know, if you live in doom and gloom and you are constantly thinking about how the world is crap, like it's all going to shit, people are horrible, people are mean, there's wars starting all of the time, you are feeding fuel to that reality. So like everything around us is an external manifestation of our insides, everything. And all of us are creating this together. So if there are wars happening all of the time, it's because people are thinking like that. And we are all helping that to happen. And that sounds really shitty, but it's true. Everything is our fault. And like fault sounds like a bad word, but everything is our creation. We are getting to choose like the reality that we live in. So if you're living in doom and gloom and you're constantly thinking about how the world is going to end and all these natural disasters and the evilness of humanity, you are feeding into that frequency. You're amplifying it. You're making it stronger. You're making it manifest into reality, and you're calling that in for yourself to experience. You thinking of something, the universe doesn't get that you want it or don't want it. The universe does not understand that. So you thinking, I don't want to be broke, the universe just hears, I broke. That's it. That's what it hears. It's going to feed you situations that will keep you broke. So what's important is that you're focusing on what you want, not what you don't want. You want to focus on how you want to feel, not how you don't want to feel. Where attention goes, energy flows. So some things that you can do practically to help the whole freaking world. And like, I know that sounds dramatic, but it's true. Like if you are flooding your mind with visuals, videos, images, newsreels of people suffering in countries that you physically can't get to and physically cannot help, you are feeding into that energy. And I know, especially on social media, it feels like I'm going to make sure everybody knows what's going on. I'm going to share this. I'm going to blast this out. I'm going to shout this from the rooftops to make sure everyone else sees it. That is, even though well-intended, that is exactly what evil wants for you to do. All you are doing is making it more available to be in people's awareness. So watching the news is literally toxic for the planet. It's literally toxic. And that doesn't mean don't know what's going on at all. You can have a news source that you look up and read and choose to put down if it's really affecting you. But having it playing on a screen and it's just like bombarding into your mind is not the way that you should go about it, because that is like the lowest vibe possible. There's nothing happy on the news like at all, ever. So you're just feeding into like a fear consciousness. You're feeding into lack. You're feeding into despair, and it just isn't helpful. So like if you are feeling bad for people that are suffering in war zones right now, It is literally more helpful for you to either like meditate and send them love, because that actually happens even though you can't see it. Say prayers for them. You can be kind to the people around you in your physical reality. That is more helpful than you sharing horrible videos on the internet. Okay? That will not help them get out of what's happening to them. I won't go into like soul contracts and soul volunteers and people like signing up for the experiences they have, because as that is true, that is hard to accept when you are in a body and like have forgotten that you're a soul and that you picked your life, and can seem insensitive, and that's not what this is about. But it's more about us as bystanders or witnesses to situations and how we react to them. The only thing you can really control is how you react to things and how you interact with the environment and the people around you. So if you can just keep it as high vibe as possible, trust me, that's much more helpful to everybody as a collective than you spreading negativity, okay? So coming back to like hopping timelines, everything is energy. We've gone over this before. Your thoughts are energy, and where your thoughts are going, that's where you're sending energy. So just change your mind, like change it right now. Start to think of the world as like, oh, actually this place is really beautiful and there's nice people all around me. And then look for examples of this to reinforce the thought, to make it like a true belief in your heart. So even little things like someone brings you a piece of mail that accidentally got delivered to their house, or somebody opens a door for you at Starbucks, or whatever, like reinforce like, wow, there are really good people around. And that over and over and over, that's the point of like affirmations. You're like tricking yourself into believing something. But sometimes that's what you have to do, because however old you are, that's how long you've been tricking yourself into the opposite belief, right? So if you feel like what you've been paying attention to or what you've been putting out to the world is not the frequency you want to be living in, is that the direction you want to be going in? If not, then change your mind, like change direction. You literally can hop out of a timeline instantly. If someone makes you mad, instead of reacting to it, if you just take a second and breathe and realize that it's your vibration that brought that interaction to you, and say, hey, like, universe, thanks for showing me that. You've changed directions. Like, your timeline has changed instantly. Okay, let me just like pound this in. Your thoughts, your emotions, your actions all have a frequency, okay? And that frequency is attracting a like frequency. So as a collective, the more people that are watching the news, watching doom and gloom, thinking about doom and gloom all the time, we are attracting more doom and gloom into the world. Like if we all focused on helping the union of all of us, wouldn't the world be so much cuter? Moral of the story is, don't watch the news. Don't post crap on your stories. Or if you have a ton of friends that do that, block them. Who cares? You can mute them now on Instagram. You don't have to even unfollow people. You can just mute their stories. You know those people. They're like constant. They're like, look how liberal I am. I'm going to share all this stuff. No, like it doesn't matter. You know? Just be a good person. Just be nice. Your vibe attracts your tribe. What you think about, you bring about. What you obsess, you manifest. And I just made that up, but it makes sense, right? What are some other things that you can change besides like not watching the news? Like your thoughts and your habits, just pay attention to them. Like if you have a bad thought, okay, like you didn't just doom the world to like some crazy war attack or anything, but like notice it and switch it. That sort of like awareness of your own thoughts and consciousness is so valuable to you and to the rest of us. Like if 20 people thought less negatively after watching this, that literally would affect the world. And your frequency affects the frequency of the people around you. So in your household, if you're the only one that's like drinking the cuckoo spiritual Kool-Aid, cool. Like that's enough. I think there is like an actual number. I've heard someone say it before of people that need to be like awakened or like on the path of light to like save the planet from the direction it's going. Not to sound scary, but we're not doing the best job. Change your thoughts, change your habits. Take a look at the media you're consuming. This is a big one. I feel like I've been like this for a really long time and didn't really understand why until I'm now more aware of like how the universe works. And my husband hates this about me. Poor guy. I watch the same 3 television shows on repeat. I have for like the past at least decade because they're like happy and silly and don't make me feel bad. I found that like movies, especially like really intense movies, like affected me too much. Not even scary or like gory movies, but like, I don't know, like things where you just feel like pain. Like I was too affected. Like my whole week was ruined from a movie. It just wasn't worth it for me anymore. Like I don't need to experience that 2 hours. I'm sure it's epic and, the cinematography is great and the acting is great, but like I don't need that. I don't need it for myself. And so I just made that decision. Like I don't want to watch that stuff. Watching scary stuff. Are you kidding me? Crazy like demonic movies? Don't watch that stuff. I get it's addicting and it's supposed to be addicting. That's for another podcast. But it sticks to you. That stuff comes out of your TV, lives in your house, starts affecting your dreams, your thoughts, your kids. Me and my husband, I tried to get him to watch American Horror Story because I used to love that show. And I remember every single night we would watch it, like something horrific would happen in our house. It was just crazy, okay? Like the kids would always get sick, like projectile vomiting, like all over the place. It was just like not... It was like eventually we figured out and we correlated it to watching the show. And I had no awareness of any of this stuff yet, but I was like, okay, something is up with the show. It is affecting our home and we cannot watch it anymore. And that is so true. It's a vibe. The show has a vibe. You're not unaffected by it if you're like so immersed in it, like living in the world. So like change the stuff that you're consuming. Change the people you're hanging out with. If you have like negative Nancy people around you all the time, forget it. You don't have time for them anymore. I don't have time for you anymore. And with the election, because I remember in, was it 2016, when that election was going on and everyone and their mom and their grandma are posting on Facebook like all of their opinions and everything they had to say. And I realized how many people I was personally friends with that were complete bigots. That affected me, okay? I was like spiraling. I could not believe humans like that existed. Couldn't believe. And you know what? Now I'm like, I just feel bad for you. I'm sorry. I forgive you for being this way. And I know eventually you will come to the light, maybe after you die. But it's not how you truly are. No one is truly hateful. No one is truly evil. That's just like, that's how much they've forgotten themselves. And try not to have like anger towards those people and try not to have like, don't let them negatively affect you because it's not worth it. It's not worth it at all. And like the more that you can control your own like internal compass, the better you'll be. This is like a big theme with the news, the government, religion, and just the amount of things that you are exposed to that are trying to keep you in a state of fear, because people need to be in fear to be controlled easily, right? Like nobody is completely self-confident and feels like they have no boundaries and then you can tell them what to do. Like that doesn't exist. So media and news sources and your churches, no offense, the background of whatever religious beliefs that you believe are all meant to keep you afraid And fear is literally the opposite of love. It's the lowest vibe you can have. And the lower vibe that everybody is in, the less likely you are in touch with your internal guidance, the less likely you are to be able to connect to source, your angels, your spirit guides, all of that. So it's just, man, you guys, I hate conspiracy theorists, okay? I hate conspiracy theorists. But the more that I learn about everything and like how things actually work, I'm like, am I a conspiracy theorist now? Are all those Google people right? Drives me crazy because I hate that. But it is. That is how it is. I used to like really trigger me when people felt like everyone's against them and like all these systems are against them. And it's like you versus the man. And I was really triggered by that. And why was I triggered by that? That's like something I'm trying to learn to do. Why is this person bothering me so much? You know? Why has this person been brought into my experience? Is it to like learn something about myself? Is it to forgive something about myself? You should think of everything like that, because everything is presented to you for a reason. It's either part of the lesson that you're here to learn, here as in on earth, or it's like a reflection of something that's inside of you. So you just can't blame anyone for stuff, okay? You're controlling your whole life. You're controlling your entire life. So like to work off of that stream of thought, everybody as in every single soul on this planet came here to work on some things. Everyone came here to learn some things. Everyone's things will be different. And a good way to figure out what your thing or things are to pay attention to or reflect on what sort of patterns have been popping up in your life. What sort of situations keep coming up over and over, and it feels like, man, this isn't fair, or why do I keep doing this, or why do I keep choosing people like this? Usually that is because you haven't learned that lesson and the universe is trying to pound it into you, because once the universe and your higher self, which is like your soul that's still in heaven playing the video game and you're the character, once they realize this girl ain't gonna learn it, like it's not gonna happen in this life, that's when your life starts to end. And I know that sounds crazy, but that's when you start to make your exit from this world. Once it's like, okay, like we can't hit her anymore with something. Like we gotta restart a new character, you know? That sounds crazy, but it sounds true, huh? I know, it is. So that's another way that you can hop timelines, is choosing to not be reactive and triggering situations. That changes your timeline. If you get stuck reacting and redoing and groundhog daying the same thing over and over and over, and that pattern will continue to smack you in the face until you're ready to learn it, reverse it, heal it, stop it. Like, or you will be stuck in that. It's actually a Kabbalah belief that once your higher soul realizes that you aren't willing to learn during this lifetime, then your exit plan will be made. Like the, how do we get out of here? How do we get this body out? How do I restart with a new body? Because an exit plan, I mean, yeah, like dying. That's what I mean. And I know that sounds crazy, but it's not. So if this life is a dream and your real life is up there watching you fail the same level in the game over and over and over, you would just die really quick, right? And start over with like a cooler character, like somebody more likely to win or someone more likely to beat the level. So you have to think of it like that it's not like up there. It's not a big deal if you die down here. It's not a big of a deal. You're just going to restart anyways. Your real family is up there. Your real family is not down here. Something you'll hear in the spiritual community over and over and over is that all of us here right now chose to come here at this time because the planet is moving into another dimension. Like we are supposed to move Earth from 3D to 5D, or you might see it like as new Earth on social media. So like, let's do it. Like what a disappointment if we don't do it. And you go back up there and you're like, dang. That game could have been really freaking cool if I had just done what I was supposed to do, you know? I really want to make it clear that you have full control of your reality. And you as an individual greatly impact us as a whole. And your insides make your outsides. Whatever you have inside of you is what will be reflected back to you externally. And if you change your external, if you decide to change the externals that are making you feel bad on the internal, that can change everything for you. That literally can change the future path of this earth. That can get you out of a crappy timeline and into a better one. And that is why you should never go to a psychic to predict your future. And if a psychic ever tells you that they can 100% accurately predict your future, you run the other way, because you are deciding your future every single second, which means every single second you can change it. And sometimes just hearing from a third party what future is coming for you almost keeps you on that path. So more power to you if you want to be on a shitty path. That is your prerogative. But if you don't want to be, then just decide it, you know? Just make that decision and like really audit your life. Do you like the people you see all the time? Does your family make you happy? And when I say family, I more mean partner, because I know a lot of people are with really shitty partners. All of that affects you internally, and if you can't get a grip on how you are on the inside, your outside will always reflect it. Always, always, always. But I'm just really, really hopeful that this year will not be another 2016. And whatever happens, this podcast is not about the election, but I'm talking about the election right now. Whatever happens is supposed to happen. And whoever wins is supposed to win. I love this book, Spirit Hacking by Shaman Durek, and he explains that there are people who have existed in this world, and God bless them for volunteering to be globally hated humans, but they're referred to as great agitators, and they need to exist, and they need to be polarizing. That is the role they came here to play, and they do it very well. And that sort of collection of energy is what's needed to like spark change and spark revolution. If you think of a cockroach, okay, like a cockroach isn't coming out, just walking out into the middle of your garage like in pure daylight, you know, like it has to be dark. It has to be dark, and they have to feel safe that there's other dark cockroaches coming out to play for them to come out. That's when you can switch the light on and squish them all, right? Was that vague or was that obvious? The dark has to surface for it to be squashed. And some people are really good at bringing the dark out. So even though it might seem crazy, it's necessary. And it's kind of like whatever. And that's kind of just how you have to, it's kind of how you have to feel about it. As long as you and your tribe of people are good humans, and you are working on yourself, and you are acting out of love and showering people around you with love, everything's going to be fine. So I really believe that. So I'm just going to keep believing it. Hopefully you guys believe it too. And then hopefully I will see you guys soon for another episode. If you want one on manifestation, leave me a comment letting me know. Okay? Love you guys. Bye.